So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to my live podcast and of School of Conscious Evolution. I am aware that Kath is trying to log on, and I have people contacting me as well. So I'm hoping she's struggling with getting on. I've sent her the Zoom link as well. But what I want to say, Kath, if I'm just gonna ask her the beauty of the lives, right? Let me try again. So let me try this and see what we can do. So meanwhile, I want to say hi because I'm getting a few messages from people trying to check whether I've gone live yet or not. So obviously now I am. Okay, there you go. So I've got a few viewers on Facebook. So the apologies, Kath is trying to get to log in. And what I would like to do, perhaps while Kath is trying to see what's going on, and if any of you has any struggle getting on this live or Zoom, I mean, Facebook is working clearly. I am trying to see what's gonna. Okay, so it looks like there is actually a technical issue. I'm not quite sure why. So I will be logging out and logging back in again and try and see what the issue is, because I'm getting messages that, oh, Christine, hello, Christine. So it looks like people can't log into Zoom. So I'm just gonna have to, you got it, Phil. Okay, I was getting worried. Okay, I thought, Phil, you had problems. Okay, so unfortunately, it seems like Kath is so I'm just gonna. So I'm just trying to see. It would be such a shame if Kath couldn't make it tonight in terms of technical access. So, so let's see what's going on. Don't you love the joys of technology? I am in two minds, but I would like to try and hope that Kath signs in. Oh, so that's Brenda coming in. So I just wanted to read a little introduction about Kath. Hoping, of course, that she manages. Good evening, Brenda. Welcome. Good evening. So the introduction is this one, Kath, and I hope to see you shortly. It's Reverend Kath, the maverick minister. I knew nothing of spirituality until I heard voices in my head at 40. But lots came flooding back from childhood over the years. I trained as a healer. We are all electromagnetic beings of light. So healing is within us all, and available to use. I was brought up in an Irish Catholic country, in an Irish Catholic family. Sorry, I'm getting a bit distracted because I'm just keeping an eye on the messages. Full of fear of God, but as I grew up, I realized my truth. I was born with my cord around my neck, stopping me from telling my truth. I had a beautiful God experience, and now I know that religions are full of fear and judgment, but God is love. Loving us always on this earthly journey and together as family of light, community, no matter what our beliefs that were handed down to us, we are one. What we do to anyone, we do to ourselves. I'm blessed to have a beautiful church here in Brixham, but I am a maverick. We don't hide from our pain, trauma, and suffering. And I maybe don't conform the way others do, but we need to stand in our truth. Because as we do allow others to do the same. And this is such a beautiful introduction to, it's a beautiful introduction to Reverend Kath. And as I mentioned tonight, Kath is having some technical issues, which I'm hoping she can overcome. And I'm trying here to check whether she's got any updates for us. It's obviously not desirable, but we need to, all right, she's saying that she will keep trying. Honestly, I have Brenda here, so that's a confirmation that the link does work. So yeah, so what I wanted to say is what I could do actually while we're waiting for Kath is that I can go and do some readings perhaps. I can do some readings and well, before I do that, in fact, I just wanted to say the story of how I met Reverend Kath. I was going through a very, very difficult time a few years ago. And when I was following her, and we were going through COVID at the time, I was feeling a bit low and not so connected. And actually, that was a bit before I started doing public demonstrations as a medium. And I just reached out to her just because her energy resonated so much to me. And I felt this amazing flow of love that was coming from her aura and her person. And so I reached out and she was so kind, not knowing me, but she knew, she said, she knew that she had to talk to me. And so we arranged for a time to do a Zoom, and we spoke for about an hour and a half. And after I spoke to her, and I was being filled like her beautiful healing energy radiating had brought me upliftment, love and courage and strength, you know, to pick myself up and just move on. And we had a few things in common, and we discovered that we had experienced similar things in terms of spirit manifesting to us. As she mentioned here, since childhood and beyond those days. And so I got so touched, and since then we stayed in touch for, you know, up to these days, basically. And I always follow her with, you know, a sense of gratitude, but also, you know, honored to have come across her energy. And I was just so looking forward to talking to her tonight, because, you know, she does much more. She does a lot of work to help others. She's like a soul midwife, she calls herself. She helps others birth and being reborn, between other things as well. And, you know, I'm thinking that it's a lot of so-called light workers have this duty these days, you know, and I know that the new mediums, such as myself, like the new generation, if you like, we feel that we have like a different scope, so to say, and structure to the original mediumship, which is like so very well respected, which I do as well. But society and the new society, the modern society, has completely changed from the one, you know, back like 50, 60 years ago, or even 30 years ago. So it's in this, it is in this context that I am trying to run this show, because this show is to do with helping people to understand what's going on energetically. Why do we need to know more about the future? Not the future, but about us. Where are we going towards? So not knowing about the future in terms of forecasts. We don't like to do that as mediums anyways, but it's to do where what is the meaning of my life, and why are we what are we made of? And truthfully, I believe that when we were born, we kind of subconsciously know that there is something magical about us, but we cannot put a finger on it. And up to the age of about 6 or 7, we go to the world with an open mind and an open heart. And just after that, we become like it's as if our brain, becoming adult, forgets about the beauty of life, forgets about the small things, and also forgets about how to reconnect to our own soul. And a lot of people, I heard once someone defining depression as the what is it they call it? It's the illness of the soul. It's as if our soul got disconnected from us, and we feel lonely. We feel, you know, with no hope. And through those dark days, and, you know, life throws all, you know, a lot of curveballs. And even tonight, unfortunately, I've heard of very close people to my family having been diagnosed, unfortunately, with very, very, very serious illnesses. And that actually caught me. I feel a little bit of sadness right now as well, because I feel like what is going on, you know, with a lot of people. And so, you know, and it's in those moments that we can reconnect to our true self. So to reconnect to our true self. So this is a Zoom user, so no names. I hope it's Kath joining us. And so it's oh, she's yes.
Oh. I'm rubbish with technology. I'm rubbish.
It's okay. Oh, you know what, my lovely, I'm so happy. And I was sharing just a minute ago about everyone, our lovely Kath Upton, the maverick minister. The joy that I have. And I was just telling the story of how we met and the first time we spoke. And those were a bit the days that I wasn't feeling very good. It was during the COVID time. And just after talking to you, I just picked myself up and I felt stronger again.
Oh.
And you've been such a blessing and you touched my heart, really. You know, it was a connection heart to heart.
Thank you.
And I have also just read, and actually, perhaps I can reread it again because people have joined us afterwards. So I am Reverend Kath, the maverick minister. I knew nothing of spirituality until I heard voices in my head at 40, but lots came flooding back from childhood over the years. I trained as a healer. We are all electromagnetic beings of light, so healing is within us all and available to use. I was brought up in an Irish Catholic family, full of fear of God, but as I grew up, I realized my truth. I was born with my cord around my neck, stopping me from telling my truth. I had a beautiful God experience, and now I know that religions are full of fear and judgment, but God is love. Loving us always on this earthly journey, and together as family of light, community, no matter what our beliefs that were handed down to us, we are one. What we do to anyone, we do to ourselves. I'm blessed to have a beautiful church here in Brixham, but I am a maverick. We don't hide from our pain, trauma, and suffering. And I maybe don't conform the way others do, but we need to stand in our truth, because as we do, we allow others to do the same.
Because we're electromagnetic beings of light, you know what magnets do, Daniela? They push together, come together, or repel. And that's what we do in our world. We are built in such a magnificent way because we are God's kids. When I think of God now, I think of joy and love and all the most positive words that I could say. But growing up, it wasn't that way for me. And I know now I can't have been on my own. I know I can't have been the only one. So I'm never ever going. I think I'm a sinner before I've even sinned. I used to go to confession. I loved church. I love God. I love Jesus. That's my whole being. That's my purpose of life. But when I was younger, I never thought that because I never thought I was anything. I never thought I was worth anything. I'm nothing. So I would always hide. I suppose you would say now, hide your light rather than shine your light. Because I never thought I was worth anything. I worried so much about hurting other people, causing trouble, that I would allow people to do things to me and I would allow people to take things from me. And it's okay because it doesn't matter because it'll be all right. And they might need that more than me. But when I was 40, I had a beautiful spiritual experience. I didn't think I was spiritual before that. I didn't even know that things like spiritualist churches and centres existed. And because I was Catholic, and it might just be me, but I don't think it is, I was always brought up in such a way that I knew the Catholics would go to heaven, but I didn't know about anybody else. And then I would worry. I made a friend once, a young girl that was in care, and we used to do Irish dancing. And I made a friend, and when I realised that she wasn't Catholic, when I realised that I think she was Protestant, I was heartbroken because I kept thinking, she's not got a mum and dad, she's in care. Where's she going to go? Where's she going to go? Now, it might not be as ingrained for other people. They might not have had that train of thought. But for me, I wondered where everybody else was going, but I'm not saying anything because to say anything would mean that you would question God. And question God isn't allowed. But then when I was 40, I have it written down here on a bit of paper. I had a beautiful God experience. So when I was 40, I moved down to Devon, and I went to, after a little while being here, there was a little shop at the end, at the bottom of the road, down the 4th Street, and it was called Healing Hands. And every time I would walk past it, I would think, my head would say, you'll go in there. And my mind would say, no, I'm not. I would never go in a place like that. Because for me, I still thought that that was a sin. Because there's parts of the Bible that tell you that you're a sinner if you're a medium or a healer. There's the Bible's another story for me. But when I went down that little centre, I sat for about 8 months, very quiet, keep myself to myself, got my fleece all the way zipped up, don't want to talk to anybody because I think they're all weirdos. They're very nice, but I'm not connecting with them. But yet I used to go down every Tuesday and bring them food. I always brought food. I bring food everywhere. I'm a feeder. After being down there for about 8 months, 7 months, 8 months, the lady said on the evening that we went down, right, get your pen, get your paper, just write down anything that comes into your head. So I've got my pen and I've got my bit of paper and I've started to write, but I'm not aware of what I've written till later on. But I've written down and I'll read it in a minute. And then the lady said, put the pen down. There's a very high energy wants to come into the room. Put your pen down. So I'm just parroting. I'm just repeating in my mind what she's saying because I've got no confidence. I never think I'm doing anything good. So I've put the pen down. And then in that moment, as I looked around the room and as I looked at me, where I was sitting, there were little children around my feet. And then those little children rose up and then they were circling in the room. And as they circled, they had lots and lots of wings. And I remember thinking, oh, that's nice. They're seraphim. And then in each corner of the room, there was a huge pillar of light. And I remember thinking, that's nice. That's angels, that. That's angels, that. So the whole room became cased in light, but it just seemed so normal in that moment. And then every picture, every ornament, everything was just glowing in just like a golden light. And then I heard a voice, and the voice said, I am God. And I swore because I thought it was just me and the Catholicism thinking I'm smarter than anybody else because I can read things from the Bible, or I know about the mysteries, or I know about the miracles. And in that moment, I did swear. But I had my hands on my knee, and then my hands just started to explode with light. And it was as if it felt like putting your hands underneath a power shower. It was pulsating and pulsating. I remember thinking, oh, I might have made a voice up in my head, but I can't make my hands do that. What's happening? And then I say, sorry, I am so sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, I wrote down what I was told to write down. And then we came back. The lady asked us to come back. When we came back, the other 6 people in the room were all doing this and I've still got my fleece zipped up. So she said to me, who did you get? I said, I'm not telling you. She went, who did you get? I went, no, I'm not telling you. So she said, just tell me who you got. I went, well, you ask if who I got, and then I'll tell you. So I see her do this. She went, you got, and I went, I got God. So on my bit of paper that's 20 something years old now, it's very flea bitten now. But when I picked up the bit of paper, I realised what I'd written. So I've written, angels, weight of wings on my shoulders, and asked for guidance. And the angels say, do not worry, all will be revealed through time. Many do not know that we exist, but through you and your many friends, we will all become one. Do not push what you do not yet know. You will be challenged many times. You must not give up. We will be here to help and to guide you. Have faith in yourself as you do in others. Now, the funny thing about that was I would always say, No one's going to challenge me. I'm too soft. I'm too easygoing. I'm too flexible. If you want to say something's black, that's fine. I'll agree with you if that's what you want. I'll go along with everything. So when I got that, you'll be challenged, I'll think. No one's going to challenge me. Well, last year, I got it massively. But I got it massively to help me to change. When I turn the page over, I have written, I am God. Many will be touched by you. And in brackets, I've put tingly hands. Go out, spread my name, do my work. And then the weirdest thing was, I'm not computer literate, as we can see. But the weirdest thing was, I went back to the bit where I'd put I am God. And for some reason, I didn't even know what a hashtag was, but I hashtagged it. Hashtag, and you might not be able to see this now because it's so...
Yes, yes, I can see the hashtag at the top.
Hashtag I am God. I never knew what hashtag was 24 years ago. So after I had that, I kept saying, are you sure? Are you sure you mean me? Are you sure you mean me? My mum always got us mixed up. Maybe you mixed up with my sisters. And I never heard anymore. And then I became older, and that's to spread the message. But the message is, we all have to find that courage, because the man-made God that we're all taught to believe and forced to believe and coerced to believe, or else we're all going to go to hell. That isn't God. God is love. And we are connected to God, and we make a blueprint before we come down here. So why would a beautiful God want to punish us? The Old Testament, back in the day, the Old Testament is so full of bad things. And I don't know whether anybody even looks at the Old Testament now, but things like the Bible has been prepared and put together by men. Yes. And things like in the Old Testament, it'll say, and I've wrote down a few bits and pieces, but only what I could remember, but they say that there's 10 proofs that the biblical God is a figment of man's perverse imagination, because the sadistic God selected a good and kind man, that was Job, and then for no reason killed his children, destroyed his wealth and ruined his health. God says that and it says this in the Bible, I can't get my head around this, but the Bible says in Hosea 13:16, their little ones will be dashed to the ground, their pregnant women ripped open to kill their children. The genocidal God sent people in Judges to attack and destroy a peaceful and settled community and keep the land for themselves. There's so much bad stuff in the Bible. That's terrible in this day, and isn't that not terrible? I could give you the list and the names and the where it is in the Bible, which verse and which chapter. So that's in the Old Testament, and we have to remember that in the Old Testament they were trying to control, and it was very much the power, the elite, the rich people, the priests, that told you how to live. And I think that we have evolved so much. I love the password. It was evolution. I love the password. The first 4 letters of evolution is love backwards. And love has to be the driving force of everything. And we've got to love more. But there's big divisions within our world. And the divisions come from those that sit in the high places. And that can't be right. And we need to find the God that's within us, and not the man-made God. We need to find the God that made man. Little twists of words can be so... I can't think what the word is, but little twists of words can be so meaningful. We're following a man-made God and not the God that made man, because the God that made man is just pure love, just God is. What we've been ingrained so much. I even struggle. I still say he or Lord.
Yes.
Because it's ingrained so much.
Yes.
But I try to correct myself. So I might say Father God, Mother God. But really, God's not male or female. God just is. God is source. God is everything.
And there are a lot of things that you've been saying so far that made me think quite deeply. And the one passage that you read earlier on, it just reminded me of the scenes that we've heard of now in the Middle East, in Gaza.
Yes, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
that's not the first time I hear of that, because I saw it on social media just in the past few days. Some were reading the same passage and saying, and now you're saying you were reading it again. And I go like, oh, wow, is that possible?
We need to be spreading the message, and the message is love, but we need to start thinking for ourselves. We are divine.
Yes, we
Sorry,
are. We are, yeah, no, we are divine inside. We are a spark of light,
that's
right?
right.
We are a spark of light, and that light is divine. Now, as far as, and as you know, I'm Italian Catholic, but in what I do, just like you being Irish, like my mother still to this day, she's questioning, are you sure you can do this? Because we're not really allowed. So, but spirituality, as I see it and feel it at the moment, has helped me to actually understand that it's nothing to do about religion here. And
No,
when we talk about God, it's not the religious God. Is the
no,
God of our understanding of whatever we want to call it, if it's the universe, but something has sparked life on
that,
earth,
yeah,
and that has to be that, and in the first place. But secondly as well, we have so much, like you were talking about the evolution being the I love kind of word. And the name of the School of Conscious Evolution, so of the evolution of love, if you like, came to my mind. And I went like, this was something that Spirit dictated me. Spirit said, you need to come forward and help everyone or whoever needs the help to understand more, to understand themselves more, and to get that emotional and the spiritual help, the positivity and the upliftment that they will require, and we will require it, and as it goes of these days. So a lot of things that you're saying, they are actually falling into place again, for me. And how amazing is that? So,
and
yeah, go on.
so then the next step would be, in some ways, when I was praying today, I pray all the time. I don't pray as if I'm, using the old chants pray. I talk to God because God is my friend. I talk to Jesus because Jesus is my friend. So today I was saying, I'm going to be doing this thing tonight with Daniela, and I need to be, because for some people, that's like heresy. Saying some of the things that I would say. For me, all religion is crowd control, whereas spirituality is who we are.
Correct.
So crowd control is to keep us in fear, conform or go to hell.
Yes.
And that's not right. That can't be right. And it's
Absolutely.
with the children in school. Sit at a desk and learn this and learn that. And I know it's slightly different now, because I know that we have much more teachers that are much more open-minded and schools that are much more minded, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's the law is, you either conform or you're going to go to hell. You succeed or you're going to go to prison. We're full of fear, and fear is we hold fear in our body, and we need to shine light on that fear, because there is nothing to fear. In the Bible it says 365 times, do not be afraid. Now I know that the Bible is a book, 2 books, 66 books in fact, and it's been put together over many thousands of years. And Jesus wasn't even alive. Nobody knew Jesus at that time. What happened was, I think it was Constantine? So he was a very powerful Roman emperor. All roads lead to Rome.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
So he was a very powerful emperor, and he realized that this paganism, this religion that they seemed to follow, where they followed the patterns of the seasons and the sun, and they worship the sun, SON, SUN, there's a little word again. He changed it and got them to worship the sun, SON, instead of SUN. And he
Yeah,
He's the same places of worship, but what he did was he took anything out of the Bible that gave a chance, took anything out about reincarnation, because what he said is, really, they were all the minions, all the little people. They had no power. They couldn't read. They never earned money. They lived from hand to mouth, probably the same way as most of us do now. So he got this council of Nicaragua, I think, got them all together, men, not women, and got them. They were the storytellers, and they went around all the places. It took maybe another, I don't know how many years, but it took lots of years. And then there were so many stories and so many that were left out. And the ones that were left out we call the hidden gospels. So we have the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Her gospel was left out because she was a woman. And not only was she a woman, she kissed Jesus on the lips. They were married. They were very much in love. She was his sacred, divine, feminine partner, just as he was the masculine, divine partner. But the men, Peter especially, definitely didn't want her to think that she had any power. So they scarred her as the prostitute. They made her into the bad woman. All the women in the Bible are all called Miriam or Mary. They all wore blue. Blue is the colour of servants in that time. You know, the reds and the riches, they would have been for and the girls, they would have been for the elite. They would have been for the ones that had the money. So Mary's Gospel, although you can read it now, it was found, I think it was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, found in a cave. But I've read Mary's Gospel. I've got Mary's Gospel. It's one of love. It's one of love. Whereas the other Gospels, I mean, in the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, where did you get a Mark and a Luke and a John in the Middle East 2,000 years ago? How did that happen? You know, they didn't have names like that. It's full of, with respect, it's full of inconsistencies, and it's full of stories, because at that time people couldn't read, and the people that put it together in such a way, it's full of conundrums. It's full of, like, on one page it'll say an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
If it's an eye for an eye, the whole world will go blind.
Yes.
And on page it'll say turn the other cheek. So what are we to believe? It's full of inconsistencies, but it's 66 books that have been put together, not by one, well, by one person, but not by one person. It was who was fitted in on the day, I think. But I still know it's a sacred book, and I treasure it and I value it. And 365 times it says, so God has a hand in that book, but man has a hand. And then it's been translated from Aramaic to
That's right.
to Latin. And then eventually, when the printing press came around and it was printed in English, well, the people that put it together would have never imagined that, you know, that the minions would ever be able to read it. So put in as much fear as you can. Keep them, keep them on keep them, because if we're fearful, we are very easy to control.
Manipulate.
So
absolutely. And I'll tell you more that when I studied history of arts at school, we were being taught that the reason why there are so many paintings in the churches, particularly in Italy, was just because the main population that were like servants and, you know, farmers and so on, they couldn't read, or, you know, they had no education. So by visiting the churches, they could read the Bible through the paintings, which normally they go left to right in the order of Jesus' life. So they could read about the miracles and about everything else that has happened, together with the sacraments and so on and so forth. And that was the education, and as much as he went. But also the other thing that I feel that touched me a lot was about the teachers that you mentioned earlier on. They are more open. The thing is that being in school quite often myself on a weekly basis, both secondary and primary schools, I would say that teachers want to be more open-minded, but there is always that control
Mhm.
from the government that stops the teachers to take any sort of initiative.
That's right.
So what is happening at the moment in the classes, you have the so-called now alpha generations, the
Yeah.
children being born in the past decade or maybe 2 decades, and they are destroying the system because they are meant to.
Absolutely. The whole system everywhere,
It's
Daniela, is
crumbling.
crumbling. Look at the councils. There's probably not a council, and I certainly know of 6, but I know there's more that are already bankrupt.
Yeah, I heard of
Not
that.
being used for what it should be used for. I read something the other day, and I think it was 7 million. I might have got this wrong. £7 million to do the repairs on Canterbury Cathedral. Jesus never had a cathedral. That £7 million should be spent feeding the children, feeding the poor, feeding the people that are struggling. Everybody needs to be loved. There are prisons full of men and women who've never known love. There are children who've never known love. If we don't love our children as they grow, something's misjointed. They maybe do something because, well, they've never had anything. I just think that love is the healing force for everything. And love is the most beautiful thing because love has got its own force field. If we think it, we can send it with a heartbeat wherever. That's the magic of love. And instead of, we get caught up with the media. I don't watch the news and I don't read the newspapers, but my husband still does. So sometimes I might walk past. The whole media is geared to set everybody up full of fear. This terrible things happened. Terrible things happened. There is wars all over the world and always has been. All war does is make rich old men richer.
Yeah.
Because the game to them, the poor soldiers that go because they are ordered to go, they really are peacekeepers, but they're not allowed to be peacekeepers, same as the teachers aren't allowed to teach the way that we'd want to teach.
I think that these days actually is becoming more and more apparent, actually, thanks to the power of the media.
Yeah.
The truth about, what's going on around us.
Yeah.
And
we can see it now. We couldn't see it before, but the internet has brought us all together, so we can actually see what's going on in the Middle East and in and in Russia.
Correct.
And we also can see the downfall of those that have placed themselves on pedestals and them to made themselves out as if they are better than anybody else.
Absolutely, yeah.
You look at Mr. Bates and the post office, and that is only one of thousands of cases where we've been dismissed. We are nothing. They are above us.
Right.
There's nobody above us except God. There's nobody. We're in a circle. Everybody is equal. There's no one above. There's no one below.
Yeah.
And we are in a circle.
Now, the society is man-made, and as such, you have layers. And Phil is saying actually on Facebook, the comment says, totally agree with Kath, read the setup. I mean, but, society, I mean, I remember when, again, I was studying philosophy, and in philosophy, there were philosophers back in the 1800s that they were talking about, the power of the powerful and I forgot the name of one of the philosophers now, and he was considered crazy because he actually was exposing the truth, even then in those days.
So
So he's nothing. Who does he think he is?
Yeah.
And and then there was another one called Schopenhauer, actually, who, which I think was, Schopenhauer. He was saying about the veil. He was talking about the veil between the truth and the falsity of the reality, for instance.
Yeah, because what happens is with everything that we get told, there has to be an element of truth in something, and then it's clothed in lies. There has to be a little element, but then we get confused because we'll try and research something or go down a rabbit hole. Somebody will have this view, somebody will have that view. So I think I've brought myself right back to the place of I have to trust me. And even coming on tonight and saying the things that I'm saying about people that will, so there's some people that will really, really love their faith and believe everything that they are told. My mum, bless her, she's in heaven now. So I do healing as well. And sometimes when she wasn't well, I would say to her, can I give you some healing, mum? And she'd say, no, don't touch me. And I said, go on, mum, let me give you a bit of healing. No, because you wouldn't know which God you'd be praying to. And I said, but mum, there's only one God. And then she'd have a little bit of a think and she'd go, oh, yeah, that's right. And that's right. And on the little God bit as well, you know, I'd put, faith will conquer all, because if there's no faith, there's only darkness.
Yes.
But I think we have to know the God that we are believing in. I think I prayed to the man-made God more because I felt very downtrodden. You know what I mean? I think I'm a sinner. I had 4 children before I married my husband. They're all his children.
Okay.
I ran away to live. I ran away to live with him. I had 4 children. Every week he asked me to get married, and every week I'd say no. Show myself up by living with you. Why would I want to get married to you as well? And then I changed something one night, and we've been married now for I think about 38 years, but we've been together for 50.
Oh wow.
But a sinner, I still felt wrong.
Yeah. I understand that. I understand where you're coming from. I have Christine here saying Socrates was put to death because he's for influencing his scholars.
I can see there's a lot of people dying at the moment. I don't know whether anybody's ever watched The Fall of the Cabal, which is a 10-part documentary which sheds light on all kinds of things. But we're scared because we don't want to say it to anybody, because if somebody thinks that that's our views, they'll think we're nutty. But a beautiful journalist, I can't remember her name, I'm really sorry. She did The Fall of the Cabal, part 1 and part 2. It is the most eye-opening thing I have ever seen in my life.
And I think this is our evolution. That's what's gonna happen to humanity next.
But we have to stand up.
And you know, there will be lots of ups and downs, a lot of energetic shake-up, as we are undergoing a lot of changes on planet Earth as well, as we keep being bombed now more and more by powerful solar flares, which are opening up our Earth to receiving you know, higher vibrational energies from the cosmos. And
we have to be ready to.
And we have to be ready to raise our vibrations and stand up.
So I've never wanted to cause trouble anywhere. I hate confrontation. I've never wanted to be in the limelight. I'm a middle child like to sit in the background. I just meant to say a little bit of a rest in peace. The beautiful journalist that did the Cabal that I've talked about, The Fall of the Cabal, died very quickly at Christmas. There's lots of people who are dying. When doctors have been bringing forward their truths, there's lots of people that do the research. I tend not to go down the rabbit holes because then you become part of it. I am the light. I'm the lighthouse, and we have to have somebody that's there.
Absolutely. And I think that the likes of us, Kath, they are aware and perhaps a bit ahead of the others, because that's our role, you know.
We are the way showers.
We're the way showers.
So we will find it hard. Everybody who's really struggling, but that keeps that good heart, is a way shower. We're all mediums and healers and light workers, but the way showers have to break that way through. When we can raise our energy. So I know I've said lots of things about the man-made God, and I don't want to fear everybody, because that's almost like me giving you the poison.
Kath, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm getting a few people interested now, and they're asking where can they watch the documentary about.
Look on YouTube. Put it in on YouTube.
Okay.
It's very simple to watch in a way that it's done in 10 little short parts,
Ah,
absorbing part. That lady died. She put her neck on the line and she died. I only know that because it came up the other day on a little reel. So if you want to, please watch it. It
yes,
opened
yes.
my
A
eyes.
few people are asking after that, and actually, Phil made me smile because when I spoke about revolution and what's going on, Phil is our supporter with he's into astrology, and so I like to have him as a side.
As above, so below. You can see it in the heavens before
So,
you see it here.
absolutely. And he's saying Pluto in Aquarius means come the revolution. And I feel strongly that this is what's gonna come.
Ma-
And it's gonna be massive.
Mm.
And it can be scary, but not to scare anyone, because
It-
at the end of the day, when we will have to overcome difficulties, we will. So, we will fight for it, because
Absolutely.
the unity will come from the humankind as
We,
one. Because we
we
are
are.
going to bond more and more, because we will believe, because we will see the truth. They cannot put
Truth
that.
will set us free. The truth will set us free.
Yes.
Times when I'm talking to Jesus, I think Jesus is dead. Well, I feel he's dead sad sometimes because look at the way we're all behaving. Look at the way countries and people pitting against each other, the sadness that's there, but that will make us strong and that'll make us rise. We all have within us, within our DNA, we call it the double helix, don't we? We have
Yeah.
we have we have much more than that, but it's been removed from us, but it's coming back, and each
Yes.
time we raise our
Yeah.
vibration.
And apparently, I was watching a documentary the other day, and I don't know if you ever heard of the Anunnaki, which
What
is it's a tribe called Anunnaki, which were the first
yeah,
higher beings that
yeah,
inhabited Earth.
yeah,
And apparently, they did this kind of very advanced manipulation
yeah,
on our, so we were born to know much more, but they interfered with the evolution of the humankind.
that's
I
right.
think that somehow we are getting there anyways.
There is so much that has been kept hidden from us, even the hidden history, even sometimes when I look on Facebook and you can see the most beautiful temples in the middle of a rocky crop, you can see such beautiful things that they've made, and they didn't have the technology that we think we're dead clever with. We think we've got all the technology to do everything. We've got nothing.
Yeah.
We've almost started again from scratch, but
Mhm.
this time we've started with a higher consciousness. We just need to rise up into it. We
Yes.
are all healers, Daniela.
We are, we are.
It's falling apart. The NHS is crumbling.
Yeah, and for so long, in order to make the interest of the big pharmas,
So pharmaceutical
they
companies
they
do
actually
make
been
people
saying,
better.
that you cannot have proper medicines from plants, but actually, if you look at the royals, they all go home to the homeopathy first, and yes, you will need medicines, of course. I'm not saying that no,
Yeah.
but a lot of
Every
medicines are still the
come from
essence of powerful.
so aspirin comes from the willow tree.
Uh-huh.
Opium comes from the poppies.
Yes,
All
correct.
all medicine comes from what God has given us, the flowers, the plants, the trees.
Yeah.
Every tree, every plant, I've got so much information on it, can be used for so many things. Our ancestors knew this. The ancients knew.
Correct.
They would use.
The American Indians had this mixed mishmash of things that would heal the worst of wounds.
And we were told, well, certainly in the history books, because man, the winner writes the history book, that they say they were savages. They weren't savages. That was their land. But the Christian people went over and force fed them. And nobody should force feed God into anybody. Force fed them, made them cut their hair. They lost their psychic power. Your head extension of your psychicness. And the ones that went to work for the American armies and they cut their, they lost all their skills. They couldn't do the tracking because they'd lost an integral part of their physical makeup, their physical body. And you think of Daniel in the Bible, his hair was his strength. But we've been lied to so much. Do you know that there's certain shampoos that make you lose your hair?
Okay. Oh,
Oh, if you do a bit of Googling, there's certain shampoos that will make you lose your hair.
well, there is as a fact, and with my son being one of these, he's just over 20, he's 22. He's been already 4 or 5 years. He doesn't want any shampoos that contain chemicals inside.
Good, that's it. Because the chemical,
And so that's what we do. We use things that are as much possible as much as possible, chemical free.
and I'm sure we would all eat as healthily as we could, but we can't because the prices of the food, if you go for something organic, is so much more higher. I mean, people are struggling to feed themselves at the moment and feed
Yeah.
their. How can that be when, here's my bugbear, in the
Yeah.
House of Commons, they've got a beautiful restaurant and they're all allowed to bring their friends there and they're all allowed to have subsidised meals and they're all allowed to have a meal allowance as well, which is, I don't know whether it's £100 a day, I don't know what it is, but everything subsidised, including their drink. But children can't be fed. That's not fair. That's not.
Listen, I just wanted to ask you actually a bit more, just touching base on something else. Your church in Brixham,
Mhm.
what's going on there? Tell us.
Oh, well, on Sunday just gone, what we did was, we're not a church that behaves like other churches. We giggle, we laugh, we sit, we hug. So last Sunday we did a special service and it's online if anybody wants to watch it, if it touches your heart. It was for our special adult heavenly children. So we've done services for our babies, we've done services for the little angels, we've done services for those that chose to take their own day of passing for suicide. Because what we say is when that happens, everybody is so shocked.
Yes.
We remember the end and not all the beautiful rest of their lives. So we light candles, we tell stories of them, and we do all beautiful things. And last Sunday we had a service for our heavenly adult children. We had all the pictures in frames. It was all set up lovely, the altar. 3 of the mums were very, very brave and they stood up and talked of their child. We read things out, we played beautiful music. You have to be very careful with the music because Facebook doesn't like it if you play anything that you've not got a copyright to. So we had the most amazing music that people from our church played and we recorded.
Right.
We did service and they all came in. You could hear a pin drop. It was so beautiful. And then this takes me to the second part of the little thing, where I say I'm the medical midwife.
Yes. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was waiting to ask you about that.
Well, that's the antidote really to all the poison that I've just given everybody. I probably shut everybody up now. I've probably said terrible things and they've all gone away thinking, but this is the antidote and this is what God asked me to say. The antidote is, if we set our intention and if we meaningfully want to do it. So I know we've both worked as mediums and I don't do readings anymore now, only because I haven't got anybody else's answers. I can't tell anybody what to do with their life. I can just love them, but I can give them healing and I can create a space where we just love them. So what happened with Metaphysical Midwife was, about 8 years ago, at that point, I'd had very beautiful experiences, but because I've got such a terrible memory, I forget them. But I came in from church about 9 years ago, and I thought, I think I'll start recording them because for my benefit, but maybe for other people's benefit as well. So I did about 3 or 4 little ones. I just held the phone in my hand and sat in the bedroom and some of the things that, and I know you've had the same, some of them were truly beautiful experiences. So I was remembering them for myself. And then COVID came. And when COVID came, so just before COVID came, I say to God, this is quite important. And I think I'm going to do more of these. But I don't know what. So my children say, Mum, don't use your real name. And I say, why not? And they say, no, it's an embarrassment, Mum. Don't be using your real name. So I say to God, what shall I do? Shall I have a name? I read my stars out that day or the day afterwards, and it was from the Daily Mail, and it was just Jonathan Kaner, and now he's died and his nephew does it now, I think. But it was so beautiful, and it said, and I screenshotted it and I use it, and it says, you have a knowledge of things, all things spiritual, and you're going to help people, and you'll be forever known as the metaphysical midwife. And I think, I like that. That's quite nice. So I kept that. Then when COVID came and we couldn't sit at church, which was awful, because at a time when people needed to be loved, needed to be hugged, and they needed to be, everything's okay. They needed human touch.
Yes.
And they took human touch away from us, unless, of course, you were in the government. Then you could have 10 parties and you could touch them. That didn't matter. But we, the minions, couldn't touch each other. It broke my heart, that. So every week I did a little online service and kept us all together as the metaphysical midwife. And then when I'd started to do, I must have gone through some kind of change, and I thought, I haven't got answers. And Spirit said, or God said, you don't have to have their answers, because I struggle all the time in case I'm lying, in case I've got it wrong, in case I've hurt somebody, in case I've not given them who they wanted, you know, all that. So then they said, you don't have to do that. The midwife just helps them birth. Yes. So I'm the midwife. Oh, so it's worked out so beautiful. So I don't do readings, but by the midwife, what I do is, now, I've done this individually for lots and lots of people, but my next goal is I need to do this for lots of people at the same time. I create a space, they create the space. I'm just the mouthpiece. Sure. But we create a space that is beautiful and loving. We do it with words, we do it with music, we do it with crystals, we do it with scents, we do it so that that person just feels totally loved. And if you feel totally loved and totally relaxed, then I take you on a little journey. It's a very simple journey. I usually take you in the garden. I usually take you to the waterfall, and I'll allow you in that waterfall to bathe, to jump, to dance, to paddle, whatever you want. There's no wrong. Nobody should follow anybody else's. They do what they want. Only when they come out, after they've had this whole cleansing and every cell, every bubble is pulsating, when they come out, there's the bench. So, you know, you've seen that beautiful Facebook post and it has a bench and it says, who would you like to sit with?
Yeah.
Well, who would you like to sit with? Because whoever you want to sit with, whether it's your loved ones, whether it's angels, whether it's guides. I took one young lady and she went, and I didn't know she worked with the Lemurians, but she went straight to the Lemurians. We have, so each and everybody who's done it will have they need their own spiritual experience. Going to a medium is beautiful and it's healing, and it might just be what that person needs.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think we get a little bit lazy. Sometimes I think we think, I wonder what's in my future. Well, nobody can tell the future because you make it yourself.
Absolutely, and this is what Phil knows me quite well, and he says this is what I was referring as the new mediumship, because what Spirit has told me, to confirm what you're saying, is that we are no longer, as new mediumship, ought to give any answers, but just open up the awareness of people coming to us for advice, if you like, because not advice, yes, sometimes they do that, but actually allow them to open up their eyes and enable them to actually make their own decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
And help them being reborn, like help them to see with themselves and being able to make those decisions that they fear. So I never say to them, you are a free soul, you can take the decisions you want. But throughout the reading, all I give to them is like how they've been feeling inside and what they've been trying to come out and their experiences and everything. And at the end, they just feel like uplifted.
Because you have given them their power.
It's a relief, and I haven't told them what to do because it's not up to me to tell them, let alone the responsibility for telling someone what to do in their life, which I would never do. But it just comes and channels, as you say, you know, I'm just the mouth of Spirit, and I just tell them, and Spirit says, you know, be rebirthed as a person, you know, own up to your connection to the soul. And even this morning, I saw someone that contacted me. And it's a long story, but, you know, I said to her, actually, you have a beautiful gift of seer. You are a psychic yourself, you know. She says, yes, but I'm scared of that.
Mm.
I'm here,
But
don't worry.
that's the fear that the man-made God and the men have given us to tell us that we're doing something wrong.
Yes, but the thing is that I told her, you fear because you don't know. Give yourself the chance to understand and practice.
Out of the box.
I've advised her to go to the nearest. She's got a spiritualist church around the corner and she didn't know about it. I said, you know, pay them a visit. Go with your niece who has introduced you to me, and, you know, just go and try and start exploring, and you will know, you will understand, and you will become your own connection to spirit and to God.
And start to trust herself. And if you trust,
Yes, that
not
innate intuition that we all have.
yeah,
And this is what new mediumship is about, to help people to wake up.
because fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yes.
And that beautiful poem, Desiderata, he says, many fears are born out of tiredness. They're born out of weariness. You know, keep pushing somebody down and shout at them and make them feel as if they're nothing. And they're very easy to control. So you get somebody who's much more powerful who will control them. None of us should be controlled. We are all free spirits.
Yes.
And we gifts. Some of us have gifts that we haven't even opened yet. And they're not just the gifts of the Claires, you know, the clairsentient and the clairaudience. They are gifts. We have gifts that we probably don't even know yet. We can do things with our mind. We can.
And, you know, those are God-given. And anyone can access them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I do run my own monthly, once a month, I run the spiritual development. And what my purpose is to enable the people that come along to learn to trust that gut feeling, because you'll never go wrong, because it's God-given.
That's right. That's right. But we've overrode it so much, and we've listened to somebody else telling, well, they don't even explain for me in school. They should teach you about your chakras. They should teach you about your intuition. They should teach you about your connection to the flowers, the plants, the trees. Everything is connected.
Yes.
They say when a butterfly flaps its wings in India, there'll be a hurricane somewhere.
You know, I wanted to add something which is very important, and I'm aware of the time because we're coming to 9 o'clock. But the thing is that in the process of learning how to use those God-given gifts of, you know, as we said, we learn about ourselves.
Because
And
if you people say they don't know who they are.
They don't know who they are. Exactly.
They are lost within. So for me, you reach out to God. You reach out to God, sit quietly, sit in the silence.
Yes.
And receive that love, that beautiful love, and feel stronger from it.
And you know, me being me, when I'm in school after lunchtime, when they've all been running around like crazy headless chickens, as I call them, you know, bless them, so sweet. But, you know, they come back and I just say, okay, now I put on some meditative music and I say, you start breathing in and out. And suddenly the atmosphere changes and they go like, oh, this is rather nice. It may last about 20 seconds, but it's enough for them to realize the shift in energy.
The breath is the gift of life.
The breath is the gift of life.
Gift of life. And aren't we blessed?
So much. Well, I think, thank you so much for coming.
Oh,
you've been amazing. And I really, really would love for you to come back again another time and, You know, I just feel that, you know, mediumship is such a beautiful service, but we do need a Kath Upton in our lives.
Mm.
To help us think about, you know, God as non-religious factor, but also as a spark of life and joy and upliftment and of love team, really.
I have friends that are atheist, Daniela, and they say, I'm not into God. And I say, you don't have to be, just change the word to love.
Yes.
I said, change the word to love, because people blame God for everything and are mad at God for everything. And yet we use the word God all the time, don't we? Oh, God.
Oh, God.
We
Oh,
use it when we're sad. To be honest, we use it even when we're having sex sometimes, because God is intricate in every cell of our, you know, we call out to God.
Yeah.
And I think God's love and God's got us, and the light is one, and this world looks as if it's in a terrible place, but actually it's opening up. The boil is burst, the poison is coming out,
Yes.
the everything is crumbling, and we heal it with love.
Absolutely. And I would love I would love to leave it there, because, you know, those are very powerful words. Kath, thank you ever so much. And I know we will see you soon on this channel again, as they say. And thank you ever so much for everyone that has been here tonight on Facebook. There have been a lot of people following us as well. And Kath, have a beautiful evening. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. And I will see you all next Wednesday with a new guest to be advised. Okay, take care.
Lovely. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Bye.